It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
No fear, no fear, no fear here, and declare your independence. I guess we got, less to be feared of, because Osama bin Forgotten is gone. Heck, I look out in front of the White House last night, and what do I see? A bunch of college students out there, yay! And how old were they when this happened? 10, 11? This is, I'm feeling the staging of this. Now, we're going to talk about this, and where the rubber meets the road, the boots hit the ground. We have Kathy Kelly on. She's just came back from Afghanistan, and we had her on in December of last year talking about, how our policies are being perceived there on the ground. So I guess now that Osama is gone, we can stop bombing Pakistan. Get out of Afghanistan. What's the future on this? Kathy Kelly, do I got you there?
Hi, Ernest. Thank you.
This is, let's go ahead and introduce you. She's the co-coordinator of Voices for Creative Nonviolence. So it's VCNV.org. And it's a campaign to end the military and economic warfare. And you just returned just a couple of weeks ago from Afghanistan. And I'm interested in how you think this news is going to be perceived there.
Well, I'd sure like to have a crystal ball and to know the future. I think that, we can look to polling that's been done in the past, in the fairly recent past, and pretty consistently, a majority says that they don't want the United States troops to stay, that they would like to have some protection from Taliban control or Taliban forces, but that they don't see the United States as the ideal protection. So now we have Leon Panetta having said that there are 57 Al-Qaida operatives in Afghanistan. That never seemed to me to jive very well with the idea of spending $2 billion per week on a military presence there, and the aggregate of death squads and assassinations and night raids and aerial bombardments and drone bombardments, creating so much anger, just intense anger on the part of families who lose loved ones because of this ostensible campaign to dismantle and eradicate Al-Qaida, as President Obama has said. Well, now they don't have a head to Al-Qaida anymore, that at least the symbolic leader is gone. You would think that maybe the United States public might be able to say, okay, enough is enough. We've had it with this war. The public opinion polls in the United States do show a war-weary public that doesn't see any point to the war. It believes it's futile. So perhaps people in Afghanistan are going to start wondering, is this the time when the United States is going to leave, and might we need to move toward negotiated settlements because there won't be that huge United States troop presence in the country anymore.
Do the people care? I mean, let me put it this way. I have always been of the opinion, and had it reinforced over time, that the people in Afghanistan, you can't get them on, the national soccer team. There is no national Afghanistan. It's all tribal. It's separated by, they keep wanting to make it to where it's perceived, or they perceive themselves as being part of a nation that I get the impression in their mind doesn't even exist. They're going, hey, man, just some French and English map makers made these lines. We don't care about this. That's why the border with Pakistan and Afghanistan, they like, what border? My cousin Fred lives right over there, across your imaginary line. So as we have the drones going in and bombing, the bombardment of these refugee camps or population centers or whatever in Pakistan, and then they see, I would imagine, different tribes and families is an attack on them as well. I mean, I don't think they see this line. Well, now that we have Osama's gone, we got him taken out, do you think that they would go, okay, well, there goes your excuse now, go away? Or do you really believe, as some of your comments would make us think, that they really look to the United States to be some kind of an insulating factor from other powers? I'm wondering, what way are they going to lean? Are they better off without us, or do you think they want us there?
Well, again, it's not a question that lends well toward yes and no answers, to be honest. I think that many people are full of contempt, really, for the Taliban. They don't want to see the United States and other world powers negotiate their future and have other world powers, including their invaders and occupiers, cut deals with the Taliban. But at the same time, you repeatedly see in the polls a recognition that there's going to have to be a negotiated settlement at some point, and why not start to do that? So, but I think that what troubles people is the idea of a withdrawal that would be so sudden as to leave them completely vulnerable to invasion by Pakistan, by Iran, by possibly hostile forces within the Taliban who could take over large areas. So I'm trying to be honest with what we've heard. We've heard people say both that they want to see withdrawal, but I suppose responsible withdrawal.
Well, what it begs is the question: Am I personally allowed not to care? I mean, I'm just like, look, man, that's Afghan. It's whatever reason we had to go in. Well, it's gone now. Okay. Got Osama. That was the whole reason they said got to go in, got to get him. And the more that we keep bombing people, all we're doing is creating more enemies. The blowback is, as Dr. Paul would emphasize, is just being obvious. What happens if we just stop? Can we come home? Do you advocate that we come home? That there's still, from your mind, and you think a lot of people in Washington maybe, or people that support your efforts for creative nonviolence, is that part of that creative nonviolence involves United States military in Afghanistan?
Well, no, I believe that the United States troops should be ordered back to the United States, and I don't think that the peace movement should have any delusion that our recommendations are going to be followed, or that the timetable that we would recommend is going to be followed. But I think we should be saying that just on a purely ethical basis, the United States troops should not be in Afghanistan. There shouldn't be one more night raid, one more death squad, one more assassination, one more imprisonment, one more instance of torture. End it, and the United States should go home and stop spending $2 billion a week on warfare in Afghanistan. But if I ask myself, okay, what do people in Afghanistan want? I want to be fair and say that I have certainly heard people say that they're very frightened about what will happen in the event of a U.S. withdrawal, if there's not some sort of system in place to offer them some kind of protection from well-armed Taliban forces who could engage in reprisals, who could try to make land grabs. And, of course, there are many warlords that are also full of weapons right now because they've been able to make money as war profiteers off of this long war. So that's when I say responsible withdrawal, I think that there should be discussion with the United Nations about some means of helping to enable protection. I also think that the United States should be paying reparations for the suffering caused, for the horrible damage caused. And people might say, reparations? How could we possibly do that? Well, we're spending $2 billion per week on the war.
Kathy Kelly, coordinator of Voices for Creative Nonviolence. Reparations? Well, maybe I want reparations, all the money they took from me. We'll talk about it more when we come back on Declare Your Independence in just a little bit.